Does your healthcare API work in testing but fail in production? Well, if so, you've come to the exact right place because today we're going to be talking about why your healthcare API works in testing but fails in production. If you've built a robust healthcare API, tested it thoroughly in staging, and everything works perfectly, you may wonder why it suddenly fails in production. This is a common challenge faced by healthcare organizations transitioning from development to real-world use. And in this video, we are going to explore the reasons why your healthcare API works fine in testing, but fails miserably when it goes live. We'll break down the key factors, common pitfalls to avoid, and best practices to ensure your API performs seamlessly in production. My name is Marty, and at OSP, we specialize in healthcare API integrations that operate reliably and securely in production environments, ensuring your API performs as expected when live. So, there's some differences between testing and production environments. In testing, APIs are run under controlled conditions. You're working with a small set of data, limited traffic, and few integrations. But in production, your API must handle real-time monitoring, manage real-time healthcare data, and integrate with multiple systems while ensuring HIPAA-compliant API security issues are addressed. Testing environments focus on functional validation, but production introduces complexity, higher traffic, real-world data, and more integrations. These differences often lead to API integration issues in healthcare that emerge once the API is deployed in production. There are common reasons why healthcare APIs fail in production. One of these reasons for failure is insufficient load testing. During testing, you might not expose the API to high traffic. However, in production, the API will need to handle more users and data, which can uncover healthcare API scalability issues. Without adequate testing for scalability, your API may experience performance bottlenecks under real-world traffic. Data mismatches in production are also a key factor. While test data is controlled and consistent, real patient data is often messy and unpredictable. Inconsistent or missing data fields can lead to failures in API performance when real data is processed, especially with FHIR API integration testing failures. The environmental differences between staging and production environments often contribute to failures. In production, you have stricter configurations like API keys, authentication tokens, and integrations with other services that may not align correctly. These discrepancies may not be apparent during testing, but can lead to failure once live. Another common reason is security misconfigurations. While testing may overlook security issues, production environments require robust encryption, token management, and HIPAA-compliant API security. Any lapse in security configurations can result in API vulnerabilities and failure. Resource constraints in production are another challenge. In testing, the API is usually exposed to limited data and low traffic, but in production, higher traffic volumes and more data require more memory, bandwidth, and CPU. Without proper resource allocation for scaling, your API may crash under the pressure of real-world demands. And finally, API rate limiting and throttling can also cause performance issues. While testing environments may not have strict limits, production environments typically impose these limits to prevent overloading. Misconfigured or overly restrictive rate limits in production can cause API slowdowns, timeouts, or failures during peak traffic. So let's talk about the solutions to fix healthcare API failures in production. To prevent healthcare API failures, start by performing load testing using tools like JMeter, Gatling, or Locust. This ensures your API can handle real-time healthcare API monitoring and performance issues before going live. Make sure your testing and production environments are as similar as possible. Use containerization and infrastructure as code tools like Docker and Terraform to maintain consistency in both environments. Follow API security testing for healthcare best practices in both staging and production. Ensure that encryption, token expiry, and HIPAA compliance are validated through the lifecycle. Ensure resource allocation by utilizing cloud services like AWS or Azure for auto scaling and load balancing, so your API can handle high traffic without compromising performance. How to prevent future API failures. To prevent future failures, Integrate continuous healthcare API testing services and tools for healthcare into your development process using CI/CD pipelines. This allows you to validate your API continuously in various conditions. Adopt a DevOps culture for smoother deployments and quicker responses to any issues that arise. Using a microservices architecture will also make your API more scalable and resilient, reducing the risk of failures under heavy loads. Additionally, ensure API version management and automated documentation to minimize integration errors and keep systems aligned. So why OSP? At OSP, we specialize in building and supporting APIs that deliver stable, secure, and scalable performance in production. We offer healthcare API troubleshooting services and API scalability solutions for production to ensure your systems are optimized for real-world healthcare environments. Our expertise spans FHIR API integration testing failures and API security testing for healthcare, providing you with the tools you need to ensure smooth, reliable integrations. Visit osplabs.com to schedule a consultation and ensure your API is ready for the real world. Thank you for watching.